here we go. All right, everyone. Welcome to Travel Tuesday. Janine here with Jet Travel, wanting to welcome our friend Dan. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Janine. Thanks
Good.
for having me. Look forward to spending the next few minutes with you, sharing a little bit about who we are.
Awesome. Dan is with Austin Adventures. And so let's start out, Dan. Not everyone is familiar, at least in our neck of the woods, of what exactly is Austin Adventures. So what do you do in the world of travel?
Well, that's a great question. So first, let's start with a little bit about who we are. We are a Montana-based international boutique adventure travel company. I know that's a mouthful, but that kind of sums it all up. We are family owned and operated. I founded the company some 30 years ago, 35 years ago. My wife works a lot with our alumni and our special guests. And then my daughter, Casey, is our president. And we actually have my son involved too. He's a photographer and a guide. So
very cool.
Truly are family owned and operated.
Did you always know you wanted to get into travel? Or was that something that just kind of happened organically?
Yeah, I've always been a traveler. I mean, for as long as I can remember. And I went on a trip, went on actually a guided trip, one of our trips as a guest, and ended up buying the company. And that was 25 years ago.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. All right. So yeah, tell us a little bit about more of your guides and your staff, because this is, I feel, one thing that really sets you guys apart from other tour companies.
Well, I mean, and again, I couldn't even talk about what we do or where we do it without talking about our guides. I think they're the most important element of any tour is the guides. You're never going to meet me. You're probably never going to meet Casey or Carol or any of the office staff. This is where the rubber meets the road. These guys are amazing. And I always encourage guests and agents to ask tour operators, are they employees or are they subcontractors? Most, if not many, use subcontractors. These are actually our employees. And many of them have been with us for 10, 15 years. And they really get to know us and our company values and in the regions they travel. And I just think it's so important because this is exactly what represents who we are and what we do.
Awesome. So let's talk about adventure travel, because adventure travel, that can make people a little bit nervous. And I will include myself in that. I do not think of myself as a big adventurer. But adventure travel has a lot of different meanings. So tell us what that means to you guys.
Well, I've always said that adventure travel is an overused term, super broad, right?
Yeah.
It can mean anything from climbing Mount Everest to a walk in the dog park. So what I always encourage people to figure out is, what does it mean to you, right? Or what does it mean to the tour operator? What does it mean? And make sure you get those two aligned. And for us, it really is soft adventure. It really is soft adventure. Again, we're not setting records, doing marathons. We're just out having a good time. We are active, but for us, it's small groups. So no more than 12 adults on an adult trip and 18 on a family trip.
Okay.
6-to-1 guest to guide ratio. That's important because I see these tours with 40 guests and one guide, and there's no way they could have that immersive experience, getting to really know the guide getting to know you, and all of that. 90% of what we do is accommodation based, 95%. And we're really looking hard for those unique properties relevant to the area. If you come to Montana, you want to stay in a guest ranch. If you go to, somewhere in Europe, you want to stay in a chalet or whatever the case may be. And our small size allows us to really get some of those quaint boutique properties. It's not just about being active, but it's also about getting to know the area you're traveling. I always like to use Yellowstone as an example. You're learning about the flora, the fauna, the geology, the geography, the wildlife, the history, so much going on. And that's what really rounds out a trip. Customer service, it's in our DNA. We call it the wow factor. I always say a guest may not remember the name of that high mountain lake they visited, but they remember that guide popping out from behind a rock with a silver platter and a pineapple carved like a fish. That's actually my son in the picture there. He's notorious for doing crazy things in the backcountry. Cuisine, all about, we're not eating beans and weenies. It's all about the food. It's a big part of why we travel, whether it be the local cuisine or whether it be guide picnics or whether it be a pizza parlor, you name it. We're looking for to make that every bit as part of the trip as in any other elements.
Very cool. Yeah. And so I love the vast diversity you have with your types of adventures. I was peeking on the website a little bit more earlier too. I mean, you have women only, you have singles. I mean, you have it all. So that's one thing I really love about your company.
Yeah, I mean, we've been around 35 years. We're on all 7 continents. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But what we offer is we offer typically multi-sport adventures. And what that really means is you're biking, you're hiking. If you're in Alaska, you might be sea kayaking. If you're in Montana, you might be horseback riding. Whatever that local area is known for, all introduced in a really easy to understand and easy to participate way. Now, if a guest's on the trip and they're an active cyclist, the bike rides might be a little short, might be a 20-mile bike ride. It's a pretty short bike ride. But the guides are always keen on saying, oh, you want a longer ride? Let's go. I got a great spot. Let's go for an additional ride.
Okay, cool.
So multi-sport really makes sure there's something for everyone. We also do family adventures. That's a big part of what we do. About 65-70% of what we do is family adventures. Only makes sense for a family company. And key here is that these are not just an adult trips that somebody stuck a family sticker on. No, these are built for families. They're built with the kids in mind. They're built to the itineraries, the activities, the hotels, the food. Everything is built around the concept that something for everyone from 8 to 80. So literally there's time for the families to be families, time for the kids to be just kids, and time for the adults to be adults.
Cool.
Big part of what we do is customs and exclusives. That is absolutely blowing up in the COVID world. People want to be in their own little bubble. So literally the difference is custom. If you can dream it, we can build it. Anything, anywhere, anytime, we can do it. And you wouldn't believe some of the things we've done. It's kind of crazy, actually. And then exclusives are just taking over one of our scheduled departures for your group.
Okay.
And with 10 or so, there is no surcharge. It's just a matter of taking over a scheduled departure.
Okay, very cool.
And I think last but not least, last year we started homestays where we actually will rent a mountaintop chateau or lodge, or, this case of this, I guess you call it a cabin, a little bit above cabin,
right.
My standards, but right. But on this trip, we had 18 guests. We had 3 guides. We had a chef. We had a sommelier. We had drivers. And we really just outfitted this as our home base for the week. That's another one that's getting quite popular.
Very much so. Awesome. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about some different people. So we talked a little bit about the families, and I love that they're multi-generational because we're seeing more of that. I feel like instead of going out and having buying big Christmases, people are actually purchasing family experiences for them. And we have everyone under the sun who has been cooped up for a year now. We're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to go. So tell us a little bit about who your travelers are.
It's easier to almost say who they aren't. We see multi-gen is huge. You're 100% right. Skip gen is big. Skip gen is grandparents taking the grandkids, families, couples, singles, corporate groups. We see people that do this kind of thing all the time. They're very active and they're on the go all the time. But we also see people that this is their first time experience something like this. That's actually my favorite. And again, we're introducing everything in a really soft adventure style. They end up getting addicted to it, but it is something for everyone. And the common theme is that they're all interesting, active, engaging, social creatures. They want to go on these trips to meet other like-minded travelers. I always say I'd travel with 95% of our guests personally, anytime, anywhere, because they're just great people.
Right. Nope. Okay, so let's talk about those 7 continents. Let's talk about where we can go, what we can do, what we can see Where are you taking us to next? Let it help us build this wish list of places we're heading to next.
Well, great question. You know, that we really are on all 7 continents. And again, over 35 years, we've just expanded and added destinations, and it gets kind of a little crazy at times. That said, we're based in Montana, and the national parks of the West have always been our strong suit. We are super strong in the national parks of the West. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but it's Yellowstone, it's Glacier National Park, Yosemite, all down in Utah. So today, let's talk a little bit about our top 10 sellers.
Oh yeah.
And you know, this is what's really year after year. This year's no different, but year after year, these are always our kind of our go-to trips.
Okay.
And I'll just run through them really quickly.
Cool.
And then you can grill me with questions later. But
Okay.
number 1 seller for 30 years is Yellowstone. I just call it sensory overload. This park is so amazing with its wildlife, its geothermal features, its geography, its history, our nation's first national park. This is a great first-time adventure traveler's trip. And I think that's why we see so many people on it.
Okay.
But it really is we all went there, a lot of us went there as kids. And now what we see is a lot of people come back with their grandkids and want to see it again after not seeing it in 50 years. Alaska is a super popular trip for us. I'm actually from Alaska, and I built this trip some 25 years ago. And now more than ever, it's a great trip because the big cruise ships aren't going to Alaska this year for the 2nd year in a row. And so this is a great land-based option for Alaska. And the mistake people often make with Alaska is they try and see too much. It's a huge state. We focus on the Kenai Peninsula. I think it's the best Alaska has to offer. You still get the wildlife, you still get the marine life, you get the coast, the glaciers, the mountains, really a fabulous program. Banff to Jasper, the Canadian Rockies, kind of quintessential adventure travel. A little bit more challenging than some of the trips. This is Sentinel Pass, a hike high up in the Rockies. But it's a great trip in and out of Calgary. Again, you roll east out of Calgary into those Rocky Mountains, and it's amazing.
And when you say it's a little more challenging, is that probably because of the altitude difference?
Yeah, the hikes might be a little bit longer, the bike rides, I mean, a little bit of everything. Just some trips have just subtle nuances. So if somebody, you know, if somebody's looking for a more challenging hike or challenging trip, we might send them on Glacier, for example.
Okay.
Or if they're looking for something super easy, we might send them to Yellowstone.
Okay.
So the rating system is overrated. It's hard to explain because it's really what it is to everybody. But so we really like to just talk to our guests and put them on the right trip. This trip, for example, Montana Big Sky, it's our backyard. It's pretty easy, but it's super active. In other words, you're hiking, you're biking, you're zip lining, you're horseback riding, you're rafting. You got 3 distinct accommodations, at the 320 Guest Ranch, Chico Hot Springs Classic Resort, and then you're down in Yellowstone for a night.
Oh, very cool.
Something going on all the time on this trip. Great for teens and young adults. Really, they dig all that activity. One that I often say is overlooked is South Dakota, the Black Hills. So much more than just Mount Rushmore. You got the historic town of Deadwood. You've got Crazy Horse. You've got Custer State Park. Custer State Park is just a hidden gem. It rivals Yellowstone for its wildlife. It's got its bison. It's got, you know, deer and elk and sheep. And oh my gosh, it's great. This is a great trip for somebody that likes bike riding. We bike the Mickelson Trail, which is a 100-mile rails to trails bike ride. We don't do the whole thing. You can do it if you want. We can make that happen, but it's a great bike trip. Yosemite, another quintessential adventure, the destination that it's on everybody's bucket list.
Right.
This is one that I always like to say really demonstrates why a tour operator is so important. Yosemite is actually pretty small geographically. It's a small park with a lot of visitors. So what a tour operator and tour guides do is they get you to see all these classic, Half Dome and the waterfalls and all that great stuff, but they do it in such a way they get you kind of behind the scenes and away from the crowds. That's where we really earn our money. Glacier, I mentioned a minute ago, is a bit more challenging, but it's the biking, the Going to the Sun Road is epic. It's on everybody's wish kind of bucket list. And it's just another great destination, really rugged country, some fabulous hikes. Hike to Iceberg Lake is amazing. And then if you're real adventurous, you can take a polar bear plunge in Iceberg Lake. Bryce and Zion down in the Southwest. We've got about 10 programs down the Southwest. This one is just fabulous. There's something about those red rocks, the green forest, the blue skies. This is more of a hiking trip. We hiked two of the world's top hikes in the Narrows, and then the hike to the top of Angel's Landing. So this is a great one, spring and fall, especially for those that want to get out and do some real serious hiking. Also a great one if you're a photographer. This country photographs beautifully. Arizona, the Grand Canyon. I think we've all seen the Chevy Chase movie where he runs to the edge of the canyon, nods a couple times and takes off. There's so much more to Northern Arizona than the Grand Canyon. We do see the Grand Canyon. We hike down into the Grand Canyon. Absolutely an incredible must-see experience. But there's also the old mining town of Prescott we visit, or Sedona, kind of this hip, new age kind of community. So a lot going on besides the Grand Canyon, although that is the kind of the earmark of the whole trip. Mm-hmm. One of our newer trips, I have to apologize to North Carolina, actually. I didn't realize it was as beautiful as it is. I think the fall rivals Vermont. We spent a lot of time in the Blue Ridge Mountains, in and out of the hip town of Asheville. Great destination for families or adults. Again, I really like it in the fall. It's absolutely breathtaking. Phew. Okay, I think that was it.
That was it. So I'll give you a little breather because I guess I want to ask or talk to you. One thing that I feel like keeps reoccurring, and one thing where I always say going with a guided tour with someone who is familiar with the trip, familiar with the area, you kind of get those hidden gems. Well, you can do a lot of these adventures on your own. I feel like you kind of miss something without someone there along the way to kind of say, hey, look at this, think about this, or to give you the background or history of a place.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, that is a great analogy because really that's what those guides bring. I mean, this is their backyard, regardless where it is. And the other thing there's no way on your own. And this is why I ended up getting into the business years ago, because I was just blown away. You can't get as much into a day as you can with a guide, because they're waiting for you when you get out of the raft trip. You're not having to shuttle back to the start of the raft and find your car and then go find lunch. They've got a beautiful picnic spread. You take a nice relaxing break after rafting, and then you might go for a hike or a bike ride. But it's that seamless execution that, if done right, it's not hurried, it's not rushed, but you're also not wasting a lot of time. They know the best trails. They know the best bike rides. They know the best restaurants to eat in. And so you're not stopping and starting all the time. We call it, kind of seamless execution.
Yeah. They can kind of, I just had the right phrase, just lost it. Wow, that went quick out of my brain. But they just make it so that you're not wasting time and you're actually optimizing what you're doing and those experiences that you're having.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Okay, let's talk.
And they're fun traveling companions. I mean, they've always got good stories, and they've got jokes, and they know, they've got option, A, B, C, and D. If it rains, they've got a plan. If a trail is closed because of a bear, they've got a plan. Right. So literally that's the benefit, is they're always there. They're always there with plan A, B, and C. Right. And they're great, fun traveling companions, especially for the kids. The kids always fall in love with the guides.
No, it makes the trip. It definitely can make a trip, because then you don't have to be wondering, what are we doing next? It's all laid out for you. You don't waste that time. So let's talk about international. We are starting to feel like it's going to be a possibility coming up here quickly with all the vaccines going on. And we're seeing some countries talk about reopening. So tell us about these international adventures.
we definitely are seeing it open. I got vaccinated a couple weeks ago, and I immediately booked a trip to Mexico. I'm going down to Baja with my family.
Oh, nice.
It's pent up demand, right? We're at about 20% vaccinated now. They're planning on everybody being vaccinated that wants one here soon. And as the rest of the country, US is doing really well on the vaccinations, but so are other countries around the world. Other countries are also doing a really good job. They didn't get in as deep as we did. In other words, they controlled it early on. They invested in protocols. They've really done a good job. So some of these countries, like, you know, the Galapagos and Costa Rica, really doing well, even with or without the vaccine, with their COVID protocols. So this is our top 10 list of international destinations: Peru, Spain, Holland. We have our European offices in Nijmegen, Holland, Germany, Austria, Costa Rica, Kenya, Tanzania, Vietnam, Iceland, and Galapagos. And all of those destinations, as far as I'm aware of, I'm looking to see if I'm missing any, will be open at least by midsummer, right? They're either open now. Costa Rica and the Galapagos are open right now.
Yep.
And people are traveling. I'm going to Kenya and Tanzania in August, hosting a trip down there.
Oh, nice.
But literally, Peru's been open and closed and open and closed. But as the vaccines roll out around the world, all of these countries are starting to get solid plans in place to host visitors. Travel and tourism is their lifeblood. I mean, they really, really need to open up. And so as soon as they can safely, and as soon as we can visit them safely, we will.
Yeah. Great. And so since this is kind of a natural segue, because this is something that's at the forefront of everyone's mind, our world is changed forever because of COVID-19 and the pandemic. So what are we seeing for some changes with Austin Adventures when we are going to be on your next trip?
You know, we're prepared. We actually ran trips in 2020 in the national parks, limited. We were in Alaska, Montana, Wyoming, and Utah, and South Dakota, I think. And so we ran about 20% of what we normally did. We worked with the CDC, directly with the CDC, directly with the National Park Service, directly with our guides, and we implemented extensive COVID protocols. And then we looked at all of our hotels and what their protocols were. And then probably the most important thing we did, and I really encourage people to look, is we went in and liberalized our cancellation policies. We're pretty proud of the fact that we got through 2020 with zero chargebacks, none. In other words, if somebody wanted to travel, we accommodated them. If they wanted to postpone, we accommodated them. If they wanted to cancel, we accommodated them. All of the above. And so we really worked hard at that. We had each guest sign a pre-travel guest pledge, and we're doing that again this year. And it was just simple. It was just like, you know, all the things that you see on the news and all the things that Dr. Fauci suggests you do, you do, right? Know who you're around. Know who, you know, don't show up with symptoms. Don't, you know, literally, you know, wash your hands, wear social distance, wear a face mask when appropriate. So literally we feel like we learned a lot in 2020, and it's going to make 2021 that much smoother. But this is the one that I think really needs, you know, warrants revisiting and just making sure that you get it. Look at those cancellation policies. I was appalled at some of our peers and how they handled it. I mean, literally, that was really rough for a lot of travel agents, a lot of guests. 2020 was not fun, but we got through it. And we got through it. You know, if anything, we gained a little bit of market share because we were so liberal. But I just feel like flexibility is the key.
Yeah, no, and there's something to say between flexibility and peace of mind, and having a company to partner with and work with, like Austin Adventures, so that if somebody knows, hey, if something pops up and we can't do it now, there's options. There are options for you. You're not totally SOL or up the creek without a paddle.
Exactly. And we're real proud of that. And again, I think that a lot of that's also the fact that we are small. I mean, we're not one of the giants. We are small, family owned and operated. as this little pledge says, we take it, we stand behind all of our product. We have a money back guarantee. We've got, everybody gets my personal cell phone. Literally every single guest gets my business card, my cell phone. They need anything on the trip, something's not going the way they thought it would. We just pride ourselves in being accessible literally 24/7.
Yeah. No, I was kind of surprised by that, Dan. I'm not even going to lie. I called your office the other day and they're like, you weren't at the physical office. And they're like, well, call his cell phone. And I'm like, that okay. I felt a little bit weird about doing that, but it's so great to have that kind of support and to know that, hey, I can actually call Dan and chat with him.
Well, you know what? We find that most issues are only issues if you don't address them.
Right.
So we learned 30 years ago, literally, if somebody's wants something, we'll take care of it, and we'll take care of it immediately. And that just nips it in the bud. That just literally makes everything. And then you're not running around doing cleanup all the time, right? We're actually addressing it. And I don't mind. I like talking to our guests. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in my fishing boat on a Saturday afternoon, and nowadays with the cell phones and the connectivity the way it is, I mean, you're available everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. And then you have a track record that really proves that you guys do what you say. And I love that you have this.
Yes, we do. I mean, we've been fortunate to get, which I think for a company our size is huge. Twice now we've been voted by the readers of Travel and Leisure as the world's #1 tour operator. And that's just huge when you think about all the giants like Disney and, Tauck and all these huge companies.
Right.
And the readers, our guests, voted us #1 twice.
It says, it screams mountains. I mean, the proof is always in the pudding. When someone comes back and say, I want to go again, there's a reason for that.
Correct. About 52% of all of our travelers are on their second, third, or 50th trip. Right.
So, all right. So why use a travel professional? This is something where I love that you love us. So this is kind of we'll pat your back, you pat ours, but there's a reason for this, right?
It really is. And, we've learned it over the years, and especially COVID. COVID brought out the best and the worst in people. It really did.
Totally.
And, what we found is that travel agents, some people call them, I call them travel professionals, travel agents, whatever you prefer. They've really earned their keep. They know what tour operators are running properly, staffed properly, prepared, what tours they can run. They know what our cancellation policies are. They know what the competition's policies are. If your flight gets canceled, they know how to get you on another flight. But they use that network of connections to make it all come together and take that. The whole idea with any kind of vacation, in my opinion, is get the stress levels down so you can enjoy the vacation.
Exactly.
So if you trust a travel professional with all those details, it really makes a difference. The convenience, one call. You don't have to call around 15 different Janine, you must work with 20 different tour operators. So the guest calls you, tells you what they're looking for. Oh, that sounds like a perfect trip for Austin Adventures.
Right. No, and that's it. And then you make the phone call, and then we're working with you guys directly, and we're making it happen.
Exactly. And same thing, you're counting on your relationships. You have a relationship with us. If something doesn't go right, you can call me up and say, hey, Dan, we were expecting upgrades on this room. They didn't happen. What can you do? I make a few phone calls, guest gets their upgrade, no harm, no foul.
Right.
Everything works. But again, I think it's you don't need a travel professional or travel agent when things go perfect. You need them when things don't go perfect. And let's be honest, things don't always go perfect. And that's when you really earn your keep. We earn ours, and we're just really making sure. And the thing that I'm really impressed with the agent community is they don't forget who they're working for. They're not working for me. You're working for your guests. And I've had agents hold my feet to the fire, and I respect that, because they're literally working on behalf of their guests. And I just think that's great.
Yeah. It's all, like you said, that when you have guests and clients come back trip after trip after trip, that's what we are all striving for. There's just those great experiences that are seamless as can be.
Yep. I mean, I think that about wraps it up. I mean, that literally is literally why we do what we do, is working together. We are convinced that together, 1 + 1 = 3. So together we're just stronger, and we can literally make sure that every guest gets exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Dan, I thank you for your time. This was awesome. I am very excited about all the different trips. Don't worry, I was sneaking and looking at Morocco because that is high on my to-do list. And your Moroccan trip looks amazing. So I am like hot on the trail for that one as soon as they reopen. So
do you have any questions? Did I miss anything?
You know what? I don't think so. I think you literally hit everything we are kind of hoping to hit. The last thing we have for you is our lightning round. So this is where it's fun for me, not for you. Not really. This is pretty low key. So, oh my God, if you have pictures to share, keep sending those pictures. That is amazing. And did your son take this?
He did. That's Grand Prismatic down in Yellowstone. And he did take that.
That is awesome. What else do you have?
Oh gosh, lots.
I love pictures. And the worst part is these pictures are spectacular, but seeing it is totally different. It's a game changer. It's not the same.
It gets all the senses, not just visual.
Correct. Yeah. So that is awesome. So Dan, well, you're kind of sharing some more pictures with us. We have the lightning round. That's the last thing we do on our Travel Talk Tuesdays. So that's where I put you on the hot seat. We have a minute. I ask you a series of questions. You answer them as quickly as possible. You get a prize of a virtual high five when we're done. If you don't get through them, no problem. But if you do, kudos to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Favorite city to visit?
Favorite city to visit, Amsterdam.
Favorite food from travel?
Favorite fruit, pizza.
One thing you should always pack for an Austin adventure tour?
Rain gear.
Favorite exotic destination?
Namibia.
Ooh. Favorite add-on adventure. So when you're on if you're on an Austin adventure, what's your favorite add-on or something you should always do?
Me personally, fishing.
Ooh. Favorite season to travel?
Fall.
What destination is next on your bucket list?
Baja, Mexico.
All right. And then you just answered where you want to travel next. That is it, Dan. You have done it. Congratulations. You have survived the lightning round.
That was just too easy. You were too easy on me.
We try. So have you been to Baja yet?
I just went and built this trip literally a year ago, just pre-COVID. My wife, Carol, and I were down in Todos Los Santos building this trip. And now that was the last trip I was on pre-COVID. And now it's the first trip we're going to be on post-COVID when we go back next month to run the first trip.
Awesome. So if anyone has questions for Dan about some of their adventures, some of their tours, reach out to us here at Jet. We'd love to get you some more information about everything they do. And I'll probably be contacting you soon because I have a family who wants to go to Costa Rica for Christmas. So that will be on the docket here coming up because they want to kind of customize it. So we're going to be hooking up on that one.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Awesome. Dan, thanks again for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So friends, with Jet, keep in tune. We'll be back up next Tuesday. I can't remember where we're going next or who we're hosting, but we do have a fun announcement that will be coming out tomorrow. The office is going to torture me on my next trip. And so watch out for more information on that coming up shortly.